to the Bodkins Show. Welcome to another episode of the Bodkins Show. I am that dude, Bodkins. Welcome. Tonight we are joined by a friend of the show, fellow shipmate of mine, Wrestling Republic's head of scouting, the lovely Miss Savannah Gall.
Hey, what's up?
What's up? It's been a long time.
I know.
I appreciate you coming on. Let's jump right to it, Savannah. Wrestling Republic's head of scouting. Exactly what is that and what does that entail?
So it's basically me pretty much scouting up and coming independent wrestling talent. So I see a lot of activity on Twitter. I go to majority of the shows I go to are in the New York, New Jersey area because that's where the majority of the talent is. So it's basically they're almost at that level of getting signed to a major company. It's just a matter of me trying to put that spotlight on them.
So who's caught your eye right now? Who are you looking at right now? And what are you looking for when you're going to these shows?
It's a bunch of people from the Northeast. Jay George, really popular in New York, New Jersey. Sahara 7, she's been on AEW Dark a couple of times. Killian McMurphy, Eel O'Neill, Elijah Friday. It's a plethora of talent up in the New York, New Jersey, and in DC area. And then when I go to these shows, I'm just looking for, the total package. Especially, I look at promos, especially on Twitter, presidents, like how you brand yourself. So it's more of like them helping me put them in the spotlight.
Okay, so what led you down? What led you down to this path, the head of scouting? I know I've been following you obviously for a long time. We go back almost over a decade now. What led you down to this path of head of scouting? I know you've written several wrestling articles as well, but what led you down to, hey, I can be the dude or the gal to be the one that says make the maid man or woman?
Because everybody in wrestling journalism covers AEW and WWE, and I wanted to go down a different path because it's a lot of talent out here that deserves to have their eyes, to be shine on. So, it's just a matter, I'm not the type of person that does hot takes or dirt sheets like that. I'm more of a positive person to bring positivity into somebody's career.
Okay. And what is your favorite? So what's your favorite part when you go to these shows? Is it the athleticism? I'm a big mic guy. You can talk on the stick. I love you already. It doesn't care what you can do in the ring. So what's your favorite part when you go to these shows? You talked about you looking for the total package, but what draws you into the character or the person when you go to these shows?
I can give an example. Last weekend, I was in Jersey. I went to Pride and Vibe. It was the first LGBTQ wrestling festival. It was thrown by Billy Dixon, who's a very, very good friend of mine. And even with his main event with Darius Carter, Darius Carter is known to be, the heel out in these areas, rubs people the wrong way, but he's doing his thing, and he's the type of person that will bring emotions out of the crowd. with him and Billy, it was an I Quit match. And, at the end of it, Faye Jackson got involved, and um, you have to watch. It's on IWTV, but what he did. I mean, you had little kids in the crowd crying, fans like jumping up, threatening him and stuff. So it's more of like what kind of emotions you can bring out of the crowd.
That the MJF type is
Yes.
you know the MJF. I believe MJF right now is the best heel in the game. I mean, maybe some of the best work we've seen in the last 10, 15 years out of a wrestler as far as drawing that emotion and heat that so to speak.
Yeah, most definitely. And Darius Carter, I mean, he's been in the business this long. I mean, I don't see why he hasn't been on AEW Dark, or like hasn't been signed yet. He's that good as a heel.
So what led you, like, when you started out, like, like what drew you to wrestling even as like a young girl, or even as an adult now? I mean, it's a passion that I think once you catch it, you have it. And then so a lot of people dropped out after the Attitude Era, but there's few of us that are still there. And I think AEW has brought back a little bit of that Attitude-esque era. The WWE, it's like your lost lover that you still love but still burns every once in a while. But what led you to wrestling and things like that?
When I was little, when I would stay with my uncle, he would watch WCW, and Sting was his favorite wrestler. He didn't want to watch WWF. It was always WCW and watching Sting. And, of course, I fell off a little bit. And then I joined the Navy. I was in my barracks and happened to turn on the TV, and it was a promo with AJ Lee and Daniel Bryan at the time, and CM Punk. And it was AJ Lee that kind of brought me back in, because the Diva era, it was all glitz and glam, and AJ Lee was just like that normal. I could relate to her. And then, Paige and Bailey and everybody else followed her. So that's what kind of drew me back in.
Okay. What's the best story? Like, what's the best storyline you feel going on in wrestling right now?
Um, I mean, it's a lot. Probably the Blackpool Combat Club. I've always been a John Moxley fan because he's from Cincinnati. I want to see what I think the Jade storyline is going well, especially with her winning streak. I'm glad that Stokely is there to manage her. It's just so much going on right now.
It is. It seems like a lot of people are leaving the WWE, going to the AEW. We haven't seen yet. I mean, outside, I guess, Cody Rhodes, kind of the first person to go the opposite back to the WWE after leaving the AEW. What's your thoughts on Cody going back to WWE, and even people jumping from the WWE to AEW?
I was actually shocked about Cody going back. I mean, I understand, but it was a huge shocker. And then, now he's out with an injury. But, as far as people jumping from WWE to AEW, I mean, it's expected. Like, once they do all these releases, it's only a matter of time when we see them in AEW. But it's just a matter of how Tony uses them, because, there's so many people that he signed, but we barely see them unless you see them on Darker Elevation.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest complaint right now. It's just there's so much. It's almost, I mean, so much between both companies, and we're not even talking about Impact or NJPW and all of that right now. We're just really talking about the two biggest companies, and it's so much, and there's so much out there to watch and catch. I mean, and then they sign these WWE guys, and they almost forget about the guys that helped AEW kind of build up. Like we just haven't seen a lot of guys on TV. Like Brian Cage is barely getting any TV time. There's quite a few guys that we haven't been able to watch or see because, or at least not getting televised matches, unless you're catching the YouTube.
And then with him bringing Ring of Honor, I hope he uses some of the people that we don't see on the Ring of Honor side.
Yeah, I think that too because I mean, you look at Jay Lethal; he was brought in to be this big deal, then he's kind of hasn't really took off. Him and Samoa Joe seem to be, have this little beef, but it seems like it's just like hit or miss there with AEW, like as far as like their storylines. And I feel like that's what drew me in originally was they had such of these long term, storytelling, and you could buy into their stories mixed with that attitude esque of those hardcore type matches where they're not the PG that WWE is.
Right, right. But yeah, I mean, I want to see more of the Ring of Honor side come up because I want to see Dalton Castle is somebody that I like from Ring of Honor. And I want to see him get used more.
So we've kind of talked about best storyline. Who's the best right now? If you had to pinpoint and say this is the best wrestler going right now, who are you looking at?
Female wise, definitely Jade Cargill, hands down. Male wrestler, I mean, I don't want to use a veteran. I mean, but I hope Jon Moxley wins tonight. Because right now, he's all we got right now. But like as far as the pillars, Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara are right up there. And Yuta has really surprised me. So make a long story short, Jade Cargill and Jon Moxley right now.
Yeah, I like both of those guys. I wouldn't say they're the best either one. I like Brooks DMD, Britt Baker. I think I've bought into a lot of what she has. I've gotten soured out on, I think the WWE, they just run out the same four women over and over again. I think, to me, the guy I get behind, I'm a big MJF guy. We talked about that just a little bit ago, just what he does on the microphone. He draws it. But I'm a big Seth Rollins. I think Seth Rollins is still continuing to put in some of the best work that he's put in his entire career. And it's been a long time. He has every accolade, but from his mic work to his in-ring work, he makes you either you love him or you hate him. And with those heels, I feel like I love heels more than, but what he's doing right now and that storyline he had with Cody, I thought was perfect. It seems like they're going to go now with a different storyline, him and Riddle, who I also think might be doing excellent work as well. I think he's very underrated. He's probably, to me, the best face that WWE has and is going right now.
Mm-hmm. And then, as far as Impact, the women's side, I'm a huge Tasha Steelz fan, so I back Tasha Steelz. But yeah, I'm kind of fell off with Impact, but then I'm getting back on it. Same with NWA.
Yeah, I haven't caught up a whole lot with the NWA, but I know that what's his name got hurt and had to turn the title in.
Yeah, Matt Cardona.
Matt Cardona, who's also probably the second best heel in the business outside of MJF for what he has done. Not a huge wrestling fan. Matt Cardona was in the WWE, was released, and has not signed with a major company since. But he's just gone all over CZW, Ring of Honor, not Ring of Honor, but what you just said. I can't even.
GCW.
GCW, yeah. I mean, he's gone all over and has taken over and won championships and has made a bigger name than as he was Zack Ryder in the WWE, which is hard.
Right.
It was hard to do it because at one time he was a huge star in the WWE and had built himself up through YouTube and the internet. But he is now like taken over. Unfortunately, he has gotten injured. And speaking of, we'll just kind of touch on that. I mean, what is with all the injuries going on right now in wrestling? I mean, what's your take on that? Because there's just so many. We just talked about Cody Rhodes, Matt Cardona. It seems like a couple other females are getting hurt, males are getting hurt. Is it just too much wear and tear, or what's
I
going on?
think, yeah, I think it's too much wear and tear. And I saw an independent wrestler tweet on Twitter about the idea of having an off season, which I agree with. And because like doing all these shows back to back, week after week, it's wear and tear. Especially people in AEW, non WWE that also take these independent bookings. So I mean, it's a lot on the body.
Yeah, that's especially in the WWE where now they're getting back to doing the live shows. Obviously, during the pandemic, they weren't doing the travel live shows. It was everything was there, just at the whatever Superdome or whatever it was called. But yeah, the AEW allows their guys to go and do all those independent bookings. So we kind of got your best wrestler, best storyline. Who's your best wrestler, favorite wrestler all time?
Of all time, female wise,
I think you're
Natalia.
frozen.
Oh, am I good?
Uh, there goes my bars. All right. So I didn't catch your answer there.
Oh, female wise, it's Natalia.
Okay.
Um, Male wise, I would have to go with Chris Jericho.
Okay. Okay. The demigod, the all
Wizard.
sorts, the wizard. I mean, who doesn't love? There was a one point in time we all loved Chris Jericho. I can get. I've always admired Jericho. Maybe not always been my favorite, but he has
Mhm.
fought the who's in wrestling in every promotion. From WCW to WWF to WWE to AEW to NJPW. He's still going strong and can still get the crowd and everything behind him. He continues to evolve. I'll say he's probably the most evolutionized this person who continues to evolve of all time. He could have stuck with those gimmicks that a lot of those other guys could still do, but has evolved and changed his gimmick and his catchphrases constantly.
Yeah, most definitely.
Cool. We talked about it a little earlier. You said John Moxley from Cincinnati, so we got to talk about your Cincinnati sports here as well. I mean, last year I know that was the best year of your life. The Bengals making it to the Super Bowl, having a lead. I couldn't imagine. That's probably like my Cubs getting to the World Series, but at least unlike my Cubs, your Bengals fell short. So what did the Bengals next year got to do to get themselves over the hump?
We did a lot as far off-season trading. We got our defensive line. It kind of sucks that we lost CJ Uzuma to the Jets, but then he made that comment about how when he went to the Jets, it was the first time he's seen like a young group of talent that's hungry. And I'm like, oh, not like you just went to the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow and all of them, but and that's actually a game that I'm trying to go to when they play the Jets in September. Um, but I think as long as our defense is good, I think we should be good next year.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think I have you guys winning that division. I mean, Joe Burrow is a dog of all dogs. He went through the guy last year. That offense is going to be good. You talk about Higgins. They still got Chase, Mixon. They finally got him some offensive line, so they're not going to kill him. He's not going to get killed. Hopefully, they drafted offensive line. They got Collins from the Cowboys. I actually like the Bengals to win that division next year. I think they're going to be the best team. I think a deal that has to get done for them is Bates, the safety. I don't know where you're at on how much where they're at on that side. Do you know anything on the Bates in his contract negotiations?
From what I'm seeing, I mean, it's still stalled. But if they cut him next year, I wouldn't be surprised. I know that they signed somebody that could potentially replace him, but I would like for Bates to stay, but it depends on Mike Brown and the salary and what they plan to do.
Yeah, I think I know Joey Burrow came out and said, "Hey, get that deal done." So I think if you're a quarterback and you're a franchise player, I mean, you could arguably say right now Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in Bengals history, and you could also
Mm-hmm.
arguably say he's the best player in Bengals history. I
Mm-hmm.
know Chad Ochocinco might disagree with me, but Chad never got them to the Super Bowl.
Right.
I think if your franchise guy wants that guy to be around, that's a guy that needs to be around.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think our biggest challenge will probably be the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Browns. They got so much off team stuff going on. They're going to be distracted. So I think if we could get past the Ravens like we did last year, we should be fine.
Yeah, I worry the Steelers' defense is going to be pretty good, but I'm just not too sure how their offense is going to be, especially if they get behind. I don't think they have the offensive capability that the Bengals do if it gets to be a shootout. I thought the Bengals' defense was very underrated last year, and as a team, I watched them pretty close because due to the fact that I had Joey Burrow and Joe Mixon on my fantasy team, so I became the Bengals' number two fan outside of you, last season.
Yeah.
So let's get one more question here before we get you out here. The Cincinnati Reds, I mean, they're about the only worst baseball team, worse than the Cubs right now. So, I mean, how bad do you hate the owner? I mean, he said, we don't care if you guys think we suck. You're still going to come. You're still going to buy our beer and drink or if not, then we'll just freaking move and you guys won't have nothing. How do you feel about the Cincinnati Reds right now?
I feel like I'm watching the movie Major League in real life. I mean, we got rid of all of our good players, like for what? And I know if they would have gotten rid of Joey Votto, Great American Ballpark would have been burnt to the ground. Um, I mean, and then for Phil Castellini to go out and make those remarks, and then that's what kind of caused our losing streak. Like ever since he made those remarks, we suck. And I mean, recently it's been up and down, but and I don't blame David Bell at all. He's been a good manager since Dusty Baker, but I do blame the management.
Right? Yeah, I'm 100%. I feel you because I mean the Cubs traded all the way everybody last year, so we're in the kind of the same boat. I feel like we have a little bit more of a direction. Our owner's not saying, "Hey, don't fucking come to the goddamn stadium or we're going to move." Or, he's not bashing us. I think he knows there'd be a riot in Chicago as well. But I 100% agree. I was surprised David Bell's been around. I feel like they've tried to fire him or threatened to fire him about 5 times in his tenure already.
No, I mean, I haven't seen them trying to fire. I mean, I thought it was stupid that they fired Dusty Baker and he got us to the playoffs. But, I mean, David Bell, I mean, he's been good. I know it was like a couple of seasons ago, he had the record of being the manager that's gotten thrown out of the games the most.
He was tired of watching them suck just as bad as you are.
Yeah.
Well, Savannah A., I appreciate you coming on. Tell everybody where they can follow you and next wrestling events you're going to be at.
So you can follow me on Twitter, SavannahRG513. And the next event I'm hoping to be at Shook Crew Fun Fair at Creative Pro Wrestling in New York. I believe that's July 24th. I did an article on it. The acclaimed Max Caster, he's part of the Shook Crew, so he's the one that's behind the event. So more than likely, that's where I'll be at as far as the next show.
Okay. And where can we find all your articles and everything else that you've written out? Where can people find those at as well?
WrestlingRepublic.com is who I
Okay.
write for.
So everybody check out WrestlingRepublic.com. Follow Savannah on Twitter. Check her out, the head of scouting, Wrestling Republic's head of scouting, the lovely Miss Savannah Gall joining us. We appreciate you, Savannah. It's been a long time. We go way back to George H.W. Bush sailors. Still friends after all these years. Still kicking it, chasing our dreams down. So for you, right, you, though not you, Savannah, but everybody else that's watching are gonna watch. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell button at the top so you know when we're going live here. I'll be on the Sports Buffoons tomorrow. It's going to be Buffoons and Bodkins. It's our first official show. Buffoons and Bodkins will be going live 7:30 Central Time tomorrow. So that'll be on their network and channel. So subscribe to the Sports Buffoons uh, show on YouTube. Hit the little ding button. Join us in the YouTube comment section there. We're going to have quite a few guests. We're going to be talking Stanley Cup. We're going to be talking Cleveland Brown situation, a little UFC. Speaking of the UFC, Mom, you told me to give you dates. My mom watches the show. She's about the only person that watches the show, Savannah. But my mom, next Saturday, which is July 3rd. Actually, I take that back. July 2nd, Mom. I'll be live again Saturday. Kenny and Craig will be back on. We're going to be pre-gaming, talking about UFC 276, our pre-show. And then we'll have Sunday, July 3rd. I about said January. July 3rd, Sunday, we'll be back on again. We'll be talking the UFC 276 post show. Oh, also, I got another show. Me and Tanner, looks like we're going to be doing Let's Talk Sports together. Make sure you check out all of Let's Talk Sports. Hit their YouTube, hit their Facebook, hit their Twitter. On Let's Talk Sports, you'll find a lot of every content you can find. I'll be on there with Tanner as well from the Sports Buffoons. We'll be doing our show every Saturday at 10 in the morning. That's Central Time Zone. So check us out, folks. This has been another great episode of the Bodkin Show. Savannah, again, I appreciate you so much for coming on. First female guest we've had here on the Bodkin Show. So we do it all here. We talked a little wrestling. We talked a little Cincinnati sports. So once again, I appreciate you coming on, Savannah. And we'll catch you next time, folks. Thanks a lot.